Welcome everyone and good evening. For those who don't know me, my name is Valerie Vaughan-Dick and I'm RIBA's Chief Executive. So everybody, please give me a very warm welcome to the RIBA President, Simon Alford.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you all for coming tonight. 600 days in, 100 to go, the end is in sight. 3 years ago, I declared that we should storm the building and take it back for architects and architecture. And when I arrived, I must admit, architecture had indeed almost all but disappeared. Council was consumed, the board was blocked, and staff morale was understandably low. The RIBA was locked in a battle with forces within. Thankfully, 3 years on, things are very different. Council is focused on the issues of the day. Board has stopped the financial rot, protected the MBS monies in an endowment, and is planning for the long term. And we have a new CEO and staff leadership team, and morale is on the rise. All are working collaboratively to create a dynamic 21st century Institute of Ideas that is vital for the RIBA to move forward. So I'm looking forward to stepping down, but also to staying on board, literally and metaphorically, to help the team deliver the House of Architecture. So when I was last here, I spoke of the Institute, the profession, and architecture. Tonight, I will reverse that order. So what of the current state of architecture? Grenfell demands we partake in a reform of construction. The after effects of COVID ricochet on, and the war in Ukraine threatens the peace that we all too readily assumed. Uncertainty and economic stability has hit everyone hard, but it's also encouraged reflection, which brings to mind the comment of the first Sea Lord in 1917. Gentlemen, we have run out of money, now we have to think. And in 2023, I think we have to think harder and harder. Over 150 years ago, Darwin wrote, "The species that survives is the one that is best able to adapt to and to adjust best to the changing environment in which it finds itself." Today, 38% of the world's CO2 emissions are the product of the built environment. So as we adapt as a profession, we can have a hugely beneficial impact. We can reverse the damage that we have been part of. But this is not our project alone. This is a collaborative project with the wider world of clients, planners, consultants, contractors, manufacturers, regulators, the public, and government. It's a global project, and it needs a global effort. So what does this mean for the day-to-day practice of architecture? Reinvention and reuse will play an ever more important part, and we, the RIBA, this year have recognise this and produced an RIBA Reinvention Award, which I think marks a kind of ongoing change. Awards, in a sense, don't matter except as symbols of what we might be doing and what we could do better. We will need to build new. Healthy places to live, learn, work and play are still in short supply, but we will need to build them differently. And again, an institute where people exchanging ideas can help us do that. 50 years ago, Alex Gordon, former president, coined the great mantra, long life, loose fit, low energy. But today we need to design for longer life, for looser fit, and for lower carbon. Gordon was also correct when he said, the future means more about climbing on other people's shoulders and less ad hoc originality. Architecture has never really been about style, shape, or daring do. It's about designing appropriately and delightfully. So, looking ahead, we need to pursue a delightful, forever architecture to which nothing can be added and from which nothing can be taken away. Architecture as infrastructure for and a generous host to the theatre of everyday life. Architecture as background and as foreground. So what of the profession? 50 years ago, Alex Gordon spoke of a very different self-governing profession, working in a world, and people would love this to come back, but it won't, fixed fees and public works. Public works might come back, but fixed fees, I'm afraid that's gone. There are, however, constants. Sadly, Gordon also spoke very clearly of the RIBA's petty internal squabbles. But more importantly, he spoke of total design, of value not cost, of the need for good clients, and of architecture's responsibility to the longer term and to society. In those heady days of fixed fees, he chose the title Architecture for Love or Money, a brave choice, for then as now the commercial drivers of architecture are too easily disregarded, and the profession pays the heavy price for this. Yes, architecture drives us, but money fuels both that drive and its construction. Indeed, I know from personal experience with my partners that bad cash flow destroys creativity. So stronger finances of institute and profession are essential. They will make us more attractive for future generations. They will allow us to reverse our long retreat into an ever more confined role, exploited by others, and we can't blame them because they are taking on the challenges that we consider too humdrum or perhaps too commercial. So moving ahead, we do need to change. We must recognise that money is the constraint that can become the driver of architectural invention and reinvention, and it can help us create a more confident, more capable, and more commercially respected profession. Which brings me to the third topic, our institute. The RIBA is a learned society. That's how it is, that's what it is. It is an option that you choose to join and engage with because you think it is worth investing in. And that's a really difficult choice for people to make. It's also an august institute with a long history of not quite achieving what it set out to do. Its greatest achievement in the last century, when there was only 5,000 members, was to leave a place now called Sketch, the restaurant, which was the RIBA headquarters, and come here and build this extraordinary asset for the future. So changing the way it operates, given its rules, regulations, constitution, charter, and charitable status, it's been really difficult. But actually, everyone, board, council, staff, exec team, members, committees, have worked together to change that course, and they have done it, they have turned it round. The organisation better understands its structure, with council keeping a watchful eye on the horizon and focusing its nimble expert advisory groups on the issues of the day. There is now in council a focus on what a good institute looks like, and I'm absolutely certain under the next president that focus will continue. I've often been told that a 2-year term is too short. I can assure you it's too long. Putting the struggles aside, and some in the room will know more about the struggles than most, it's important to know that the RIBA structure now allows for long-term thinking as well as immediate action, and there's a real change to action. There's a plan, but there's action. The biennial plan, which I spoke of 500 days ago, has helped our longer-term focus on creating the House of Architecture. We are rethinking our attitude to our collections, currently scattered in 5 locations, and reinventing both our permanent home here at 66 Portland Place and its digital twin. Since its inception in 1834, the RIBA has amassed one of the world's greatest and most complete collections of architectural artifacts. Be very clear, when you go somewhere else in the world, the RIBA is rather highly regarded. It may not be the same in London or in the UK, but elsewhere in the world, it's highly regarded because it's unique. We are the only people with a collection. We are the only institute with a building. We have 1.6 million photographs, many of which are the only photographs and they're originals, 150,000 books, 15,000 journals, probably the only complete collection of many journals, 5,000 rare books, 1,000 objects and artifacts from Lutyens' pipe to his scale rule, 1.5 million manuscripts and archived documents, 500 coins and medals and a glut of silver tableware that was polished recently. But really importantly, I think, as a visual person, we have 1 million architectural drawings. There are 400 drawings by Andrea Palladio that are known to still exist, and, courtesy of Lord Burlington, the RIBA has 380 of those. That is our defining cultural asset. It's priceless, but a price was put on it a decade ago of in excess of £250 million. It's of huge value to the profession and society, and it's a vehicle that we can use to connect the past to the future, the profession to society. So we have a great opportunity, which is why we've put in place a sensible and achievable financial plan. We also have a significant responsibility to look after the collection that we've been bequeathed, but also to keep that collection going, to make sure that we're adding to it so it represents the best of today, and then it becomes a historical continuum. And that, I think, is really, really important, and it goes back to that quote about clambering on the shoulders of others. So when we build the House of Architecture, which is in plan and which exists now but will be radically transformed and improved, our collection will be widely available in analogue and digital format, accessible to all, irrespective of means, background, or location. It will be used, reused, and enjoyed by members, practices, individuals, researchers, communities, students, school children, business, policy, and decision makers. It is a driver for the future of the RIBA. It is not a coincidence that the last two Royal Gold medalists both referenced our library and the collection as a place and a source of learning and inspiration. It propelled them into the future. So the RIBA can now realise the vision of those who built it as an accessible global research centre. Of equal import to celebrating the collection is taking responsibility for this building. It is our forever home. No one quite understands this, but there's only 910 years left on the lease. It's a peppercorn rent. We cannot dispose of it, so we have to use it and use it properly. And if architects can't use architecture properly, who can? So this is not a vanity project. We do not have a choice. Indeed, of all the professions, we have a duty to discover and demonstrate what an exemplary net zero reinvention project looks like, what must be done, how it can best be done, and to what a great effect we have done it. So the House of Architecture establishes a reinvigorated RIBA as an outward-looking, learned society and cultural institution, a generous host to discourse, a place where ideas about design and the design of our low-carbon future are developed and shared with members, partners, the public and government. That's the big picture, but what of the detail? As Mies declared, God lies in the detail. So progress on this strategy has resulted in our dramatically reducing our carbon footprint. We've sold 76 Portland Place, so we can bring staff, members and the public back. It's in Neil Chassaux's book. I haven't read it yet, but I've been told I have to read 2 chapters. But it's bringing everyone together in a building. Architecture becomes the vehicle to drive the conversation. We'll soon be sharing Man Island in Liverpool in a creative partnership with a major institution. We are doing things to lighten our footprint, but to also focus our activity. And therefore, moving ahead, we'll better perform as an organisation. Governance and process will be appropriately scrutinised, but not at the cost of architecture or the sanity of those involved. We will invest in a proper IT platform, one that will support our model of sharing talks, debates and exhibitions, collecting and connecting people and ideas. And that connecting and collecting will make us ever stronger drivers of professional and public engagement. And this will develop further when, for the duration of the works, we close the building and we go on the road. The RIBA is a global institution. It is incredibly strong around this country and around the world. We are also working harder to support existing members and attract new ones. We're strengthening our Practice in a Box initiative, which supports small practitioners and small practice. We're working on a PII proposal. This is the team's collaborative effort that has the potential to address the major challenge we all face when we pay our annual dues. We are looking at how contracts and employment contracts and building contracts and architectural contracts can be enhanced, client contracts, connecting the dots, which we can do. We're simplifying and enhancing our membership offer. We'll recognise that people progress at different speeds. It's not a one-way route. Someone might study, become a student and go back. People might retire and want to be engaged. People might never enter the profession but want to be engaged. And we need to engage with those who practice and those who don't practice but have studied architecture and those who broadly care about architecture. In education, as in practice, detail matters. We are supporting our members engage with primary and secondary school. There is a huge amount of work done by the RIBA members. What we need to do is support them in their ambition. We're supporting new models for architectural education here and abroad, so barriers between institute, practice and academe are blurred. Personally, I'm a fan of the architectural degree as a good general degree and a springboard to many careers. So whilst recognising the success of the classic degree and diploma route, we'd like to see a structure that allows students to qualify within 5 years by many combinations, their choices of apprenticeships, degrees, masters, and earn and learn courses, the latter offered by schools and practices. We need to create different speeds of engagement, different routes into the profession, and this is not about the good and bad and the better. This is about people being able to make choices. We are engaged with the ARB as we are concerned that their accreditation model neither speeds things up nor by doubling up does it allow new courses to emerge. But we also appreciate that the world is what it is, and the ARB and the Department for the Business of Trade have formed new MRAs, an acronym, mutual recognition agreements. But what that means is young people can travel to Australia, Canada, America, and we can develop that exchange of learning and practice and kind of create a world where people, particularly when they're more flexible, in the earlier stage of their career, can connect with a world beyond our world. So this will help the next generation. We also need to recognise, and this is another tension in the kind of evaluation of an architect, is most architects that we are training or helping to train now, or giving them the tools to train themselves, will face a very different career and future to the one we face. Mies also declared less is more, and so we are constantly reviewing what we can do well and what is best left to the profession. We know in that particular area, engagement with government is something a disinterested, not an uninterested, but a disinterested RIBA can do in a way better than practice or individual. So we've rebuilt our public affairs and policy team. We employ a more engaged, critically intelligent voice. We're opening doors to government at many levels. We are meeting Ministers of State, DCMS, Treasury, Housing, Department for Levelling Up. We're also hosting key events, such as the event on design codes. We are engaging with government. We're becoming part of the intellectual background that any government needs. We're also working with the Construction Leadership Council, which itself is close to government. But importantly, again, I mentioned awards. Our global awards program is leading the way on thinking about life after architects, people and carbon and how buildings are performing. And we need to promote better standards. We are internationally more connected and engaged. Only yesterday, I was at the UIA. We hosted 9 different member states from around the world, a good spread, and the title was Beyond Carbon. It opened up our ideas to the fact that this discussion isn't just about carbon and measurement and kilograms a square metre, but about culture and people and communities. So we're leading on connecting and sharing. We are creating an open source institute. And indeed, our award the Royal Gold Medal to Doshi and then to Yasmin Lari presents a global perspective. Both architects are also a reminder that architecture is about service to society over the long term. Practical changes are important too, though Mies never declared anything so humdrum. We are improving our venues offer and our technical performance. The House of Architecture is ever more open to everyone from school children to major industry bodies. But of course, this House of Architecture is paid for by its membership, so we've created significant discounts for members to use this building and for friends to use this building. This building should be a host to different views, different people, and different opinions. The RIBA does not hold a view, it hears views and it helps form views. On climate change, you will all know better than I, we're beyond declarations. Buckminster Fuller described it as the operating manual for spaceship Earth. There is a huge challenge, and as I said, beyond carbon, we're saying let's not obsess with numbers, because we know numbers can mislead us. The RIBA's 2030 climate challenge is, I think, an exemplar of a smart, simple challenge to the industry that's been adopted by the wider industry. But we're now leading partners in the next step, the Net Zero Carbon Board Standard, NZCBS. But I think that's going to be really important moving forward. We've invested time, money, intelligence in partnering with the wider industry in bringing this tool forward that will work across client sectors and construction typologies to establish a standard for measuring embodied and operational carbon and crucially creating a potential data lake of predicted and actual performance. So it's a tool that has global potential, but we all know we love saying how our buildings will work, but we need to start saying they didn't quite work the way we thought they would, but we can all learn from each other. The Net Zero Carbon Board Standard also happens to be chaired by an RIBA member, David Partridge, who is a client. Proof, if ever needed, that architecture is a great training for the world beyond practicing as an architect, and a reminder that the RIBA needs to connect with its diaspora, those who have studied architecture and are working in another field. And in that, I would include the Chief Executive's husband, an architect who is a client. So this focus on architectural action is reflected in our updated mission statement, where our vision is to be the world's leading centre for excellence in the design of the built environment, promoting sustainability, building safety, diversity and inclusion as we strive for a better future for all communities on the planet. Like all members, I am just passing through. I ended up here because I articulated my frustration to the press. Past President Jack Pringle shared my concern, and together with the team of board, council, executive and all the committees and committed members, we've worked together to turn this place round and come up with a long-term plan. And that long-term plan is enabled by change in governance. And it will take us to the next level in fulfilling our charter commitment, which is architecture, not the protection of architects. But of course, if you look after architecture, architects benefit. Our shared ambitions are embedded in the institution's organisational structure and mindset. And just as crucially, they're embedded in the ideas for this building. Architecture, as we all know, has its limits, but also, as we all must believe, it can help define and accommodate a better future. So, moving forward, with the engagement of members old and new, the remodelled RIBA will play an ever-increasingly vital role in helping us all design a better future for everybody, since everybody is a citizen of the built environment. Thank you all for coming tonight. I do hope you will take this on board and engage with the RIBA. It needs the intellect, the critical intelligence of everyone in this room and many who aren't in this room. And please keep coming back to this building and bring the House of Architecture ever more alive. Thank you very much indeed.